When you think about money, you often think about your wallet, maybe the stock market. But have you ever considered it as this massive global flow connecting people across borders?
It's a really powerful image.
Right. And on the surface, sending money home, remittances, it seems like purely a good thing. A lifeline, really.
Absolutely.
But what if that lifeline, that flow of cash keeping families afloat, also, maybe subtly, kind of reshapes a whole nation's future in ways we don't expect? Ways that might even be, well, challenging.
That's exactly what we're digging into today. It's a phenomenon sometimes called the remittance trap.
The remittance trap, okay.
Yeah, it describes the situation where a country becomes, so reliant on money sent home from its citizens working abroad that it inadvertently creates this complex web of economic dependency. What looks like a simple benefit gets complicated.
Interesting. So for this deep dive, we're working with some really fascinating sources. We've got comprehensive studies and also some proprietary insights and structured analysis developed by Devin McClarty and D Investment Enterprise, LLC.
That's right. Their framework gives a unique perspective.
Exactly. So our mission here is to unpack that framework, to sort of peel back the layers on remittances and show you these hidden complexities. It might really challenge how you think about this stuff.
Definitely. So let's start simple. Remittances basically are just that money people working overseas send back home.
Right, to family for basics.
Usually, yeah. Supporting families, paying school fees, housing, just everyday survival. But the remittance trap, the core idea, it's bigger than that. It's about when a country's overall economy gets excessively hooked on these funds.
Okay, excessive reliance.
Yes, and that reliance starts to stifle development within the country. It creates this cycle of dependency that's hard to break.
So it's not just about the money coming in, it's about this reliance itself becoming the problem. The sources call it a core structural problem. What does that mean? What makes it so structural?
Well, it plays out in a few key ways. First, and this is a big one, you get the stagnation of domestic output.
Stagnation. Okay.
Yeah, the country's internal economy sort of shifts. It becomes more of a receiver, not a producer.
I see.
So infrastructure development might lag. Local industries can shrink because, well, why invest heavily if the money's coming from outside anyway? And maybe the most damaging part is what the sources call a draining of youth ambition.
Draining ambition. Because the incentive isn't there.
Exactly. Why struggle to build something locally if the perceived best path is to go abroad and send money back? It changes the whole dynamic.
That makes a disturbing amount of sense. It really seeps into the culture then.
It absolutely does. And that connects to the second point, policy paralysis.
Policy paralysis.
Yeah.
Meaning the government gets stuck.
Kind of. Because remittances are often filling budget gaps, helping families survive, they can sometimes reduce the pressure on governments to make, tough but necessary reforms.
Like fixing fundamental issues.
Precisely. Investing in real innovation, diversifying the economy. If abroad effectively becomes the economic engine, the urgency to fix the domestic engine fades. It's like patching a symptom instead of curing the disease.
That's a really clear way to put it. So you've got economic stagnation, policy paralysis.
Yeah.
What's the third piece? You mentioned the cultural impact.
Right. This one's maybe the deepest. A fundamental shift in the national mindset.
Okay.
It's when a culture starts to see leaving the country as the main definition of success. Think about that.
Wow.
If leaving is success, then, as the sources say, staying becomes associated with struggle. Ambition itself gets redefined. Ambition is equated with exit.
So the brightest sparks, the drive, it just aims outward.
It often does. It can really hollow out the entrepreneurial spirit needed inside the country.
Man, this really turns the whole idea of remittances on its head. It's not just simple charity or support.
Not when it reaches the scale of dependency.
Yeah. Which brings us to something the sources call a vault-level insight. They say remittances are both a lifeline and a leash. That contrast is stark.
It really cuts to the heart of it. Let's break that down. The lifeline part is undeniable, right?
Sure. Keeps people fed, housed.
Exactly. Immediate, vital financial relief. Supports families, pays for school, keeps the lights on. For millions, it literally prevents total economic collapse. The sources put it perfectly. That dollar pays a bill.
Okay. Lifeline. Makes sense.
But it also signals a failing system left behind.
Oof. Okay, that hits differently. Signals a failing system. How does that connect to the leash idea?
That's the flip side. While that dollar provides immediate help, The reliance on it hinders what the sources call structural evolution.
Structural evolution, so like real long-term development.
Exactly. The fundamental changes needed for the economy to become self-sufficient, to innovate, to grow organically. Because the immediate pressure is lessened by the inflow of cash, those deep, necessary reforms get delayed.
So the short-term fix prevents the long-term cure.
In a way, yes, it creates this dependency that holds the country back like a subtle leash, preventing it from moving forward on its own terms.
This framework, it really pushes against the common view. The sources even have a term for how they frame this LoopSpeak framing. What's that about?
It's basically using language designed to make you stop and rethink the standard narrative, to challenge that purely positive view.
Gotcha. Any examples?
Yeah, there's a really powerful quote. This isn't foreign aid, it's a quiet surrender to dependency.
Wow. A quiet surrender.
Think about what that implies. It's not a gift from outside, it's a sign of giving up a certain amount of economic control, of self-direction. It reframes it as a symptom of vulnerability, not just a solution.
That's potent. And building on that, they ask this question that just sort of hangs there. If your nation's growth comes from people who left, what happens to the people who stay?
Right, and that throws us straight back to that stagnation we talked about, the drained ambition. Who feels that most? The people still there.
The ones who haven't left or can't leave.
Precisely. And there's another metaphor they use that captures this really well.
Okay.
When you need remittances to survive, home becomes the system, not the soil.
Home becomes the system, not the soil. What does that mean to you?
It suggests that home stops being this organic place of growth, opportunity, self-sufficiency, the soil you build on. Instead, it just becomes, well, a node in this larger financial network that's sustained from the outside, a system for receiving funds rather than a place that generates its own future.
That's a profound shift in thinking about what home even means in that context.
It really is.
Okay, this is fascinating conceptually. Let's make it concrete. The documents use Jamaica as a key example. What's the situation there?
Jamaica is a really clear case study. According to World Bank figures, something like 20% of Jamaica's entire GDP comes from remittances.
20%, 1/5 of the whole economy.
Yeah. And get this, the sources point out that this figure often exceeds tourism and exports combined in economic contribution.
Wow, more than tourism and exports combined.
Yeah. Often, yes. That just shows you how incredibly significant, how deeply embedded these flows are in the Jamaican economy.
And where's this money primarily coming from?
Mainly the Jamaican diaspora in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada.
So for Jamaica, that 20% figure, more than exports and tourism, you can really see how that level of dependency could fuel the stagnation, the policy paralysis, and that mindset shift we discussed. Ambition points outwards.
It maps directly onto the framework. It becomes a powerful, real-world illustration of how the remittance trap can manifest.
And Jamaica isn't alone in this, right? This isn't just a Jamaica story.
Not at all. While Jamaica is a strong example, the underlying principles of the remittance trap apply to many other countries with high dependency. Think parts of Central America, the Philippines, Nepal, several others. It's a wider pattern.
So for someone listening to this, maybe wondering, okay, interesting concept, but why does it matter to me? What's the takeaway?
Well, I think understanding this trap is crucial for grasping the real complexities of global economics. It shows that development isn't just about cash flow.
Right, it's about sustainable structures.
Exactly. It highlights the difference between, say, short-term relief and long-term resilience. And it subtly points towards policy implications.
Like what?
The underlying message in the analysis is that governments in these situations really need to prioritize deep domestic reforms, investing in education, infrastructure, local industries, building that internal soil, rather than just managing the inflow.
And what about the diaspora? The people sending the money?
That's complex too. They're often sending money out of love and obligation with the absolute best intentions. But the analysis suggests we need to think about how those good intentions fit into this larger economic picture. The goal isn't to stop the flow, maybe, but to use the breathing room it provides to build something stronger back home.
Okay, so wrapping this up, it really comes back to that core paradox, doesn't it? Remittances as both that essential, vital lifeline.
Absolutely vital for millions.
And yet, potentially, this subtle leash holding back deeper structural change.
Precisely. And exploring the remittance trap, it forces us all, I think, to ask tougher questions about what genuine economic health looks like.
It's not just about the money coming in.
No. It's about a nation's capacity to thrive on its own terms, to cultivate its own soil, rather than just function as a system reliant on external inputs.
So maybe the question we leave you with is this. What does it take in terms of mindset, in terms of policy, for a nation caught in this dynamic to transform that system back into soil?
Yeah.
How do you foster real self-reliance and opportunity for everyone, especially those who stay?
It's a critical question for our interconnected world.
Definitely something to keep thinking about.